The Missing Horse. When Satyam was at school in Urvakonda, a poor Muslim of that town was making a living by plying a horse carriage. One day, his horse went missing. Failing to find it, the poor man came to Satyam for help. The boy directed him to a wood situated about 1.5 miles away from the town. He did so and found his horse grazing there. From then on, Muslims of the town developed great love and respect for Satyam. News of Satyam's uncommon abilities spread far and wide. Long before this, Sri Sai Baba also displayed a similar miracle when a well-to-do Muslim by the name of Chand Bhai Patil of Dhoopkheda village in the Aurangabad district lost his mare. Disappointed and tired after a fruitless search for the missing beast, he was dejectedly dragging himself home with the saddle on his back. Shirdi Sai Baba saw him, took pity at his despondency, and directed him to search for his mare in the nearby channel. Chand Patil did as told, and to his great surprise and delight, found the animal there. Now, what is the deeper meaning of these two similar incidents? The horse or mare represents the human mind that is ever unsteady. One who succeeds in comprehending the true nature of mind is truly a chittachor. Ashwa is the Sanskrit word for horse, meaning one that is perpetually in motion. We normally take Ashwa to mean a horse, but it is only its broad meaning. A horse is always in motion, moving its leg, tail, or ear every moment. Thus, Ashwa stands for the quality of unsteadiness, the state of being continuously disturbed, restless. The Sanskrit word Ashwamedha, horse sacrifice, means offering of one's unsteady mind to God. The Sanskrit word Ashwatha, people tree, likewise refers to a tree that is in perpetual motion. Even when there is little breeze, its leaves keep moving. The human mind also keeps on wavering similarly, both during sleep and wakefulness. Baba says that a horse sacrifice, Ashwamedha, does not mean that the animal should be physically killed in flesh and blood and offered to God. The true meaning is that our animal nature should be given up as an offering to God. Divine puppeteer acts the danseuse. When Satyam was at school in Urvakonda, his headmaster arranged a benefit program for raising funds for the school. Rishendra Mani, a celebrated dancer of those days, was to dance. Publicity material was printed and widely distributed. But due to some unexpected developments, she could not keep her appointment. Lakshmipati, the headmaster, got worried and became tense. Satyam approached him and told him not to worry. The item of dance that Rishendra Mani was to perform, he said he would himself do. The amazing item that made her justly famous was indeed very difficult to perform. She would put a bottle made of glass on her head, position a plate thereon, and place some lighted oil lamps in the plate. She would then dance, and while continuing with it, pick up a handkerchief from the ground with her lips. Satyam offered to do something more astounding. "Sir, she picks up only a handkerchief with her lips," he said. "I will pick up a needle with my eyelids. But please announce that the performing artist is Rishendramani herself." Several years later, Swami described in his own words what happened on that day. "I was made to wear a sari too big for me. The organizers provided a pigtail of the sort worn by women. As you know, while dancing, the dancer flicks it from side to side. So they made it thick and long. Lest it should fall off while I danced, they strongly tied it all over. Strings of bells adorned my ankles. They found the jalopy to carry me from my makeup place to the venue of the dance program. There was a run on tickets as nobody wanted to miss Rishendramani's dance. When musical instruments began playing, I gently shook my ankle bells to produce captivating sounds. The audience lost themselves in ecstasy. The headmaster placed a bottle on the crown of my head. Another teacher positioned a plate gingerly thereon and lighted the lamps. Why did they do all this in public? Just to satisfy the doubters who might be thinking that I had all these things fixed firmly and securely on my head. It must be shown to their satisfaction that they were all loosely positioned. Music was being played for my dance. I was moving round and round on the stage. Even as I danced, I suddenly bent down and picked up with my eyelids a needle placed on the ground. The audience clapped and clapped in delight and applause. The district collector, an Englishman, came on the stage to award a medal to me. His name was Horsley. He wanted to touch me before giving the medal. I refused. He said, "I am just like a brother to you. I want to place this medal around your neck." I replied, "I am just like your sister. Put it into my hand." From the side of the stage, the headmaster was signaling to me that he was the collector and that I should accept without fuss. But as I was standing there as Rishendramani, I refused to be touched by the man. Meanwhile, there were claps and noises from the audience asking the collector to hand over the medal and return to his seat. He gave it to me and went back disappointed. The president of Kadapa district board was Srimati Rama Subbamma during those days. She came to the school on the next day. "It is due to Rishendramani," she said, "that the school could raise so much money for constructing its building. We want to honor her and have brought an expensive sari as a gift for her." She called out for Rishendramani and requested her to come onto the stage. From where could she come? As the audience eagerly awaited the great dancer, I came running. I was wearing shorts. The guard stopped me. Then our headmaster intervened and told him, "Yesterday's Rishendramani is really this boy. Let him come in." Everyone was puzzled on seeing me. Srimati Rama Subbamma lifted me up into her arms, kissed me and said, "My dear child, you are so tender in age, but have brought great honor to us. I am proud that there are talented persons like you in our country." She was all praise for me. Ever since, she showed great love for Swami. Wherever she went, she would narrate tales of Swami's glory. This is how Swami gave a dance program that day in the high school in Urvakonda. The whole universe is a stage for the Supreme Being. Ever since that day, Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai has been assuming countless forms and fascinating the world with his melodious music and divine dance. The sting of a scorpion. On 8th March 1940, a momentous event took place in Urvakonda. Satyam was stung by a big black scorpion. His body lost sensation. He sank into unconsciousness. The news spread like wildfire and agitated many people. In that region, a sting of a scorpion often meant death. Satyam was administered several injections and medicines, but none availed. Slowly, he recovered in a couple of days, got up on his own, and began to move about. But he seemed to have undergone a total transformation, both mentally and physically. It was as though a spiritual spark dormant in his inner being suddenly came to life and began to glow. The effulgence of the Supreme Being comes only after the darkest period. The Lord of Shirdi was about to unveil and display in sharp relief the immense body of his own spiritual powers through the medium of this boy. Satyam was often seen lost in his own thoughts. He recited Sanskrit slokas, sang songs, and gave religious discourses. His behavior was strange and inscrutable. Seshamma Raju and his parents were deeply concerned and confused. Years later, somebody gave a speech in the presence of Baba. He said, "Swami was stung by a scorpion. That is the reason why he acquired spiritual powers from that day." Baba, who spoke after him, stated, "The person who spoke before me said that Swami obtained the spiritual powers because of a scorpion sting. Let him be stung by 100 scorpions. Let us see whether it would bring any spiritual powers to him." There is no doubt that the incident of the scorpion sting is merely a turning point in Swami's life. It cannot be the cause of his divine powers. It merely marks the stage of his sankalpam, will, to unveil his divinity. The bestower of knowledge. Going back to the happenings in Urvakonda, one day Satyam appeared deeply lost in himself. Suddenly he said, "Narayana Shastri next door is reciting the stanzas in the Sri Mahabhagavat, but is committing many mistakes in his exposition. Send for him." Some persons went to the learned man and requested him to come and see Satyam. Disdainfully, Shastri said, "Ah, he is but a mere boy. Is he finding fault with my learning? What does he know?" He did not bother to come. But Satyam insisted. This time, the intermediaries could persuade the old man to come into Satyam's presence. The boy explained to him all the errors he had committed. He also put to him some questions on the Puranas, sacred scriptures. The scholarly Shastri admitted his lapses and acknowledged the corrections made by Satyam. Astounded at the young boy's brilliance and erudition, Shastri prostrated himself at his feet. Even now, occasionally Bhagavan finds scholars whose quest for the supreme reality consists merely of profound study of scriptures, sacred texts and mantras. They devote a lot of their time to scholarly exposition of their deep learning, but in their single-minded dedication to learning, they fail to recognize that the very supreme being they are aspiring to reach through scholarship, the very object of their studies, is present right in front of them in human form. Scales of intensive learning prevent their eyes from visualizing the ultimate reality in the person near at hand in flesh and blood. Looking far, they miss what is close by. Bhagavan grants such persons proper insight that they are in need of. In this context, it is relevant to recall an interesting incident that reveals Bhagavan's profound knowledge of scriptures. A yajna was performed during the Dashera festivities some years back. Elaborate arrangements were made and a special dais was erected for the purpose. Eminent scholars of the Vedas and other scriptures were in attendance. Some of them had no faith in Baba's divinity. They had not yet acquired sincere love and devotion for him. Probably because of that casual and irreverent attitude, a lapse occurred. One of the scholars, who was reciting a sacred mantra, committed a mistake in pronunciation. Instead of correcting himself promptly, the scholar went ahead thinking perhaps that his lapse went unnoticed. Bhagavan turned towards him, looked at him seriously for a moment and sternly said, "Shastri, chant it again properly." The scholar trembled as he was lashed. Then Swami started reciting that mantra with impeccable intonation. The assembled scholars were astonished and joined Swami in reciting the mantra with proper intonation. Forbearance. As Satyam's fame spread, people from far and near began flocking to Urvakonda to meet the amazing boy. Tongues wagged. Some said that he was a victim of some evil spell, black magic, that he was possessed by a vile spirit, that he was controlled by a demon, and that a tantric or witchcraft might cure him. The distraught Seshamaraju brought in a worshipper of goddess Shakti to help. Satyam chastised him. "You are worshipping me every day. You are seeking my blessings daily. So how dare you now come to give me treatment? Bow to my feet with reverence and depart like a good boy." The poor man got frightened, saluted Satyam and left. Satyam was brought back from Urvakonda to Puttaparthi by his parents. He was shown to well-known doctors of Bellary and Dharmavaram. None of them could diagnose his problem. Now and then, Satyam would suddenly cry out, "There! Devatas, celestial beings are coming. Offer Arati, sacred lighting of lamps and camphor as a mark of devotion." Such utterances used to puzzle and distress members of his household. They were told of a reputed exorcist near the town of Kadiri who could drive away even the vilest and the most intractable evil spirit. Pedda Venkamaraju decided to take Satyam to him. Together with his daughters Seshamaraju and Satyam, Pedda Venkamaraju travelled there in a bullock cart. The exorcist had a dreadful mien and fiery eyes. He subjected the 14-year-old boy to crude procedures and cruel corporal punishment. He gashed the victim's shaven head with a razor at several places. While blood flowed in streams, he poured lemon juice and onion juice into the wounds. He rubbed an ointment in his eyes, which is notorious for causing unbearable smarting. He poured 101 pots of water on the bloodied and burning head. The inhuman torture which Satyam silently bore with fortitude and forbearance shocked his unfortunate and helpless family members. They felt shaken and remorseful. The exorcist grew wilder because he believed that the devilish spirit that possessed Satyam was unyielding. Unable to bear their mental agony at having surrendered their dear child to such inhuman torture, the family begged the tormentor to give the boy some respite. They pleaded that after he recovered somewhat, he would be brought back for further treatment. Satyam was thus rescued from further torture at the hands of the exorcist. Years later, a Haridas was rendering Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba's life in his very presence. As he reached this particular episode of Swami's bodily torture at the hands of a heartless brute, Swami intervened. Those details are too painful even to hear. Skip over them, Bangaru. Sometime later, Sri Kasturi asked, Swami, you found it so painful even to hear of those sufferings. Why did you agree at all to undergo such inhuman treatment at that time? The reply of Bhagavan Sai is very revealing. He explained, whatever be the suffering this body is put to, it will not affect me. I transcend happiness and sorrow of every kind. I wanted to demonstrate these aspects of mine to the world. That is why I endured all those tortures with patience and forbearance. I invited that punishment willingly because my suffering would convince people of my spirituality. They would develop trust and faith in me and set foot in the rewarding realm of devotion to God, Bhakti. There was a lawyer in the town of Penugonda called Krishnamacharyulu. He came down to Puttaparthi to see Satyam and concluded that his condition was much more serious than he had imagined. He advised Satyam's elders to take him to the temple town of Gatikachalam. He felt that darshan of Lord Narsimha Swami, the man-lion avatar of Lord Sri Mahavishnu, the presiding deity there, would cure Satyam. On hearing the words of the lawyer, Satyam smiled and asked him, Sir, I am the presiding deity at Gatikachalam. Are you advising that I should be taken for my own darshan?